Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I wanted to talk to you today about the new food label that was in the news today. And it's probably not going to be on store shelves for about 3 years, they say, but I was asked to comment about it by some patients, so I thought I would. Basically, the label is going to be bigger, which is good, easier to read. And well, let's go over the pros and cons. So the calories will be a lot larger, which is good, so someone can really see what it is they're eating. I guess statistically they look that very few people look at the labels either because they're so small they can't read them or they're confusing. So some of the changes in this label, the labels are good. So the calories are much larger stated. The other thing is they're looking at serving size, and I think this is a pro and a con. So sometimes you might look at something that seems kind of small, you know, maybe a granola bar or a candy bar, and you think it's one serving because, you know, it's not that large. Yet if you finally look at the calories, it says calories per serving, but then the number of servings in that one bar was maybe 2 or 3 servings. So whatever you thought the calories were, you had to double it or triple it if you ate the whole thing. So that can be a bit of a shocker if you kind of casually looked at the calories but didn't look at the serving size. So if the serving size is 1 bar and you're about to eat 1 bar, then you know what you're getting. What they talked about that I didn't like, so that's a good thing, is they're going to clarify and make more realistic the serving size. So in other words, if it's a bar, they're going to have the serving size 1 bar, and then they're going to tell you it's 600 calories instead of sort of fudging it a little bit by saying it's 3 servings and each one is 200, making you think 200 is not so bad. So they're going to make that more realistic, and I think that's very good. What I didn't like was that they are going to change things like ice cream, where they've said in the past a serving is a half a cup, which is a decent amount of ice cream. Now, full disclosure, I've been an ice cream addict in my past. I don't eat any dairy anymore. It's probably my problem. I was so sensitive to it, I couldn't get enough of it. But I've definitely been guilty of sitting down and eating way too much ice cream, so guilty. However, half a cup of ice cream is, I would prefer it's coconut ice cream, but that's a different topic. Half a cup is not bad. That is a decent amount, and that's been the serving size on ice cream containers for a while. What they're doing is they're changing it to 1 cup and making it more realistic. This is the article, by the way, that's what I have in my hand. But they're making it more realistic to what Americans actually eat, which I think is a very bad thing, because you kind of look to that serving size as, oh, that's kind of what I should do, if you will. Once again, we're talking about ice cream, and I'm not a fan, but you see my point. So if you know, maybe you ate the whole darn pint, you know, but then afterwards you looked at the serving size and went, oh, half a cup. Maybe I should eat less next time, instead of saying, oh, it's a cup. So that's like a legitimate amount of ice cream to eat in a serving, in a sitting. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of really moving us toward where we already are, which is 2/3 of the country is overweight. I don't think that's particularly helping. So that one I wasn't too thrilled about. The other thing is that I liked is under the total carbohydrates. In the past, they've just had sugars. So they've just had fiber, which is good because you want things high in fiber, but then they've had sugars. And I've had patients say, oh, this is high in sugar, when something was sweetened with fruit juice or you know, a natural carbohydrate. And I said, you have to actually read the label, in other words, the ingredient label, in the list of what's in there, and not just look at that summary label. But what they've done now is they've added the category added sugar, which is great, meaning the spoonfuls of the white stuff that they've added to the ingredients of whatever it is you're eating. So say it was peanut butter, and under sugars there was very little, and then added sugar is quite a bit. It's like, oh, there's a lot of sugar they added to this product. So that one's good. I like that. Trans fats is good, as far as good that it's on the label, bad that you should never eat anything if it says any trans fats in it. Put it back on the shelf. You should not eat it. But then there's also saturated fat, and there are good saturated fats like coconut. So if you, back to the ice cream, if you were eating a little bit of coconut ice cream as a treat, that would be good, but it would show high in saturated fat because coconut is high in saturated fat, but it's a really good for you fat. So, I mean, it actually helps in weight loss, not excessive ice cream, but coconut oil itself is good for the thyroid, it's good for the metabolism. There's a lot of fabulous things about coconut oil, even though it's a saturated fat. So it doesn't make that distinction, which I don't like, because the whole point was that, oh, saturated is bad and trans fats are bad, and kind of putting them all in that same category, which isn't the case. Let's see what else they talked about. I mentioned very few people tend to read the label anyway, but for those who read it, I think it should be have better clarification. And yeah, what Michelle Obama said is people should be able to go to the grocery store and know instantly from the label if something is good for their family or not. And I think it takes more than that, and I think we all know that simply looking at the label is like that kind of label is not going to give you enough information to know that something is good for your family. As a matter of fact, if it doesn't have a label, it's probably the best for your family, meaning, as you know, if you buy an apple or you buy an orange or you buy broccoli or kale, there's no label, there's no ingredient list on that, other than hopefully knowing whether it's organic or not, and don't ever eat GMO. There's no ingredient list, there's no label, because there's only one ingredient, and those are the best foods to buy, is the single ingredient foods. So that's a little bit about the new labels. I do think there are some pros. I think there are also some cons, so you could probably write to your local congressman or senator who, because this is a work in progress and it's not solidified yet. They're still looking at it, so maybe we could make some changes in that, and they could talk about you know, a little bit more about types of fats, and you know, a little bit more information on you know, sugars, whether they're natural from fruit, and then of course the added sugars is going to be on there, which I think is good, but you know, it's a step, but we have a long way to go, and I just wanted to clarify some of that information for you. But going forward, I would recommend you eat foods with as few ingredients as possible. About 5 or less would be great. Absolutely no trans fats, absolutely no artificial colors, flavors, no artificial sweeteners, and nothing that you can't pronounce is also another good rule of thumb. And for the most part, if you can stick with ingredients that you purchase for your family that don't have an ingredient list, because it's only a single item itself, and then you go home and you make something nice with it by adding other single ingredients, then I think you'll be the healthiest for it. So please let me know what you think and your thoughts, and until next time, I wish you very good health.